Could this be the best budget handheld available in 2023? Let's talk about that. Hello and welcome to Modern Broadcast. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at the Anbernic RG35XX. This handheld device is in direct competition with the Miyoo Mini, which is no longer in production as they are working on the Miyoo Mini Plus. I recently took a trip back to my hometown in Iowa, and the only thing that I took with me was this Anbernic device. It arrived literally the night before I left, so I charged it up, threw it in my bag, and just went stock. Now, I've done a few handheld videos on this channel now, and what I always like to start with is the technical specifications. The RG35XX has 3 color variations: gray, transparent white, and transparent purple. I personally went with the transparent white as I thought it gave it a clean look. It has a 3.5-inch IPS screen with a resolution of 640 by 480. It has a quad-core ARM Cortex-A9 CPU, a quad-core PowerVR SGX 544MP GPU. It has 256 megabytes of DDR3 RAM. And for the base unit, it comes with a 64GB microSD card. The operating system is Linux, and it supports up to PlayStation 1 with relatively no problem. It has a Type-C charge port for its 2100 mAh battery, lasting about 5 hours. Your mileage will vary depending on the game that you're playing. If you're playing non-demanding games such as Game Boy, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, you'll get more life out of it, where if you're playing PlayStation 1 games, you might see that drop down a little bit, but I will say I was rather impressed by the battery life on my travels. The device also has a high-fidelity speaker and an HDMI mini output for TV. Alright, and here we have the device. So again, I have the transparent white version. Again, it comes in the atomic purple, kind of like the Nintendo 64. It also comes in a gray color, which is more inspired by the Game Boy. So this is a vertical system. We have our 4 A, B, X, Y buttons here. We also have our start and select. We have a menu button in the middle, our D-pad, and a speaker in the corner. On the bottom of the device, we have our Type-C charge port. We also have our 3.5 headphone jack. Turning the device over to the side, we have our volume up and volume down. On the other side of the device, we have our power button, reset button, and then we have 2 micro SD card slots. So again, I only bought the base model, which is $55, and it came with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card, and there's an additional slot there to add more games. On the back of the device, we have our R1, R2, L1, L2, and we have our 2100 mAh battery. What's really nice about the see-through case is it kind of gives that nostalgic feel, and we can actually see the components inside of the case. And lastly, on top of the device, we have our HDMI out port, so we can plug in this Game Boy into a portable monitor or into our TV and play our games on the big screen. So I really enjoy the UI of the RG35XX. It's minimal, but effective. You have that HDMI out, so it's really easy to screen capture or put it on the big screen. If we go into the game rooms, I mean, we have systems like PlayStation 1, arcade systems, the Neo Geo, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, TurboGrafx 16, Neo Geo Pocket Color, Game Gear, and the WonderSwan Color. I mean, this little device and this microSD card is absolutely loaded to the nines with anything that you could possibly want. So as we're playing a game, it does stretch the image out, so that's one kind of bad thing with the HDMI. But what is nice is that if we push that menu button, we then have save states, and each game has 6 save states. And we can load those save states. We can restart the game. The video display effect, so right now it's in HD. We can do scanline 1. Kind of gives it that look. Scanline 2. Fast. dot matrix, and back to HT. Video display aspect, we can go full screen. Aspect or 1:1. Kind of gives it that 4:3 aspect ratio and kind of makes it not so stretched out. Overlay, where you can have different overlays for the systems. And back to full screen. So I took the RG35XX with me when I took a little short vacation to Iowa, and literally this device arrived just before leaving, and really I gotta say it was pretty nice just to be able to charge up the device, throw it in my bag, and it pretty much already had all the games that I would want on it. I didn't take any other form of entertainment. I didn't know if the system was going to be bad or good, and my entire trip I was playing this at night at my buddy's house. I played this on the plane. The battery life is impressive. The flight was about 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I was able to play the entire time on the plane, and then also play more that night at my buddy's place. I didn't have to charge the device until the day before I left. I would say probably at night I probably played around a half hour each night, just advancing the story a little bit more. We started the game from scratch, and we went all the way up and to Cerulean City, and we beat Misty before I arrived home. So overall, I gotta say this was a great handheld. It's only $55. It's a great budget. It is in direct competition with the Mii Mini, which is no longer in production. The only way to get that device is either via eBay, paying an exorbitant amount of money, or Mii is now making the Mii Mini Plus, but they're not readily available, where the Anbernic RG35XX is. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. What are your thoughts on this budget handheld? Be sure to follow us over at Twitch at twitch.tv/modernbroadcast. Stay tuned for next week, where we might be doing a Flipper Zero video. Have a great week, everyone, and take care.